Michael Buffer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Resorts International Casino Hotel in Atlantic City, the moment you've all been waiting for, so let's get ready to rumble. 10 rounds in the light heavyweight division. The referee for this bout is Frank Cappuccino. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the solid white trunks and weighs 172 1/4 pounds. Originally from Port of Spain, Trinidad, now training and fighting out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. His professional record, 26 victories, 18 by KO against only 3 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, the former WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Leslie Tiger Stewart. And fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with gold trim, he weighs an even 174 pounds from Wanakee, New Jersey. His professional record, 32 victories, 23 by KO against only 3 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, the former IBF light heavyweight champion of the world, Bobby Chappie Czyz.
Good evening, gentlemen. You were both given your instructions this afternoon. Are there any questions? Both use touch gloves. Good luck to both of you.
So there's a look at Bobby Czyz. He's changed trunks, incidentally. Always went with the green before, but he said he gave them to a fan in Detroit. I heard of giving a shirt off your back, but the trunks off your body, that's dedication. Black trunks, gold sequins. There's a look at Leslie Stewart. Stewart's only losses, he's been knocked out. So there is a question about his chin.
You can see already the nature of this fight. Stewart wanting to move Czyz around the ring. And you can feel in this room a certain sense of apprehension on the part of the fans and the fighters as well.
Again, we emphasize both fighters in our conversations with them have emphasized the new dedication to the training regimen that goes into a fight like this. Czyz said he'd been running 6 to 10 miles a day, running on mountain trails. Stewart with a left hand. Czyz bounces off the ropes.
Leslie Stewart already found part of the key there. He landed that short right hand to Czyz in the uppercut as Czyz was coming in. Pushed Bobby back, which is hard to do. Prince Charles Williams, in his fight with Czyz, after being in such trouble early, he found the uppercut a very effective weapon. That's another one I could have added to the keys to victory.
Well, when Leslie Stewart beat Marvin Johnson in Port-au-Prince to win the light heavyweight title, he was the king of the world and a hero of huge importance in Trinidad. Then when he lost his last fight there to Donnie Lalonde, Trinidadians turned on him a little bit, and he really feels that he has something to prove to his hometown fans.
He's a very talented boxer, as is Czyz. Czyz doing the right thing by jabbing his way in. Hasn't yet worked the body. Well, there he goes with the body as soon as I said it.
And Stewart using that jab, as you indicated, he really needs to do.
Tell you, both men so far showing that they know what they need to do and in spots getting it done. This is really going to depend on who imposes his will on the other guy, who makes his style work more than the other guy.
It really is, because when you really look at these two, they're very evenly matched. Left hand and the right hand behind it by Czyz.
Now, every time Leslie Stewart gets hit with a good shot to the head, because he's been knocked out in the last 2 fights, people are going to be looking at him carefully. He took that good right hand by Czyz.
Crowd clearly in Bobby Czyz's corners. You can hear the chant of Bobby, Bobby going on.
Wanakee, New Jersey, a little closer to here than Trinidad.
But there are fewer flights.
You're absolutely right.
A bit of puffiness under the left eye of Bobby Czyz. We'll keep an eye on it. It really isn't anything of any great import right at the moment as we come down toward the end of round number 1. End of the first round. Stewart in the white, Czyz in the bangles.
Bobby Czyz using the left to get in there to throw the overhand right. Landed in the jaw of Stewart, and Leslie took that punch well.
second round, 10-round fight. Stewart continues to work the jab, and that's what they told him he needed to do in his corner between rounds.
First round, a very close round by a narrow margin. I gave it to Czyz because of the body work he had done. But here in this round, oh, there's the hook by Czyz, kind of backed Stewart up. Just when I was going to say Leslie Stewart's really boxing well.
And he hurt him with that. And he came back with a right hand and a left behind it a moment ago.
These two are made to make an exciting fight. I mean, their styles are perfectly meshed for that. Stewart does not want to be on those ropes. That's where Lalonde got him in trouble.
The jab is working for Stewart.
He's got an excellent jab. Even in looking at tapes of the Lalonde fight, he nailed Donnie Lalonde with some very big shots. Lalonde has got that good right hand. Virgil Hill fought the fight of his life in beating Leslie Stewart. Czyz doing the right thing by working his jab to get in. And then throwing combo.
Getting close. When they're getting close, it's clearly Czyz's fight.
Stewart should be giving him a little more movement. Doesn't have to be moving a lot, but at least give Czyz a few angles here.
That last right hand was more pushed than thrown. He's been very active here, trying to get him in close. That's where he wants Stewart. Stewart, of course, wants him right where he is now, in the center of the ring at long range.
Stewart is squandering what was a very good beginning to this round, in which he nailed Czyz with 4 or 5 real good shots and was boxing well. He's been very lethargic, not throwing many punches here in the latter portion of round 2. Letting Czyz get off.
And the crowd here is going to let you think that Czyz is doing everything right and Stewart is doing nothing right, because it is very pro Bobby Czyz.
And Stewart has put that jab in mothballs, and he has just let that punch completely go away toward the end of this round.
He did have a counter-punching right hand a moment ago.
Both landed big left hooks.
Very good round, actually, for both men.
You're still punching for
Fine. This is a great case, again, of the old styles make fights, and these two styles make for a very good fight.
Always the jab. Don't wipe it. After the jab, hold it. Got the ice bucket, John, back there, please. Yeah. After the jab, Bobby. After the jab, right hand. Short. Don't do the big right hand. Otherwise, you'll move inside and punch to the body.
Working on that swelling, as we pointed out to you after the first round, under the left eye. It isn't anything that's very
Make sure your
serious.
head's going to the side. All right? Breathe deep. Come on. Come on.
Well, Leslie Stewart, when he does this, so effective. There's the jab. Breaking up the rhythm of Bobby Czyz. The Czyz hook, that was the one early in the round that looked like it may have stunned Stewart momentarily.
Let's go, brother. Let's go. Within 10 seconds, okay? Let's get him on.
Round number 3. Stewart on his bicycle a little bit, going left to right.
Mentioned at the outset the nose surgery Bobby Czyz had. It's called a turbinectomy. And it was something that was suggested a couple years ago for the chronic problem he's had breathing through his nose. One doctor told him, no, you can't have it until after your fighting days are over because it would hemorrhage when it gets hit. But another doctor just told him, no, you should go ahead and do it, and he figured he'd take the chance. He says it's made a big difference in everything in his life. He feels a lot more comfortable and certainly has helped him in training, and he feels that as fights go on, he won't have as much trouble breathing as he's had recently.
Yeah, he also said after the surgery it was the first time he'd ever slept through a night.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of mucus used to build up in his nose and behind it, and now that problem isn't there anymore.
There's a right hand by Czyz, and Stewart yells at him, no. Stewart, right hand.
Well, there's the right that I talked about. Now, when Czyz is in there, he's got to be wailing with the hook to the body and the head. you know, this is interesting. They're both doing exactly what they want to do, and which one will really get it done overall? Case of two men doing exactly what their fight plan calls for. That time it was Czyz with the right.
And another. Stewart in the corner, and he wants to get out of there. And he backs him up with the jab. And takes a right hand in return.
They are both throwing good, hard punches. Stewart, the jab and the straight right, and Czyz mostly with the hook and an occasional right. And really, Barry, it's going to come down to this. Whose punch is harder and will hurt the other guy more? The hook of Czyz or the straight right of Stewart?
And who can throw them over a longer period of time.
Yes. So far, 3 excellent rounds, 2+ excellent rounds of boxing. These are tough. These are very close rounds, in my opinion. They're rounds, by the way, that I think Stewart could steal if he would use that jab more. He could steal these rounds.
Now, this round, he seems to be a little bit more consistent with it than he has been. But it's interesting that neither fighter is deviating at all from his game plan.
They're doing what they need to do. It's just that the other guy sometimes stops them from doing it.
The left hand was the best of those 3 punches by Czyz.
See, and Bobby Czyz can't just walk in because he knows that Stewart right hand is ready to uncoil at any moment. And he's been nailed with some big ones.
Stewart might have answered some questions about himself here because he has taken some pretty good shots, but he hasn't been hurt but for one time. We're in the corner of Leslie Stewart.
Getting slower. These jabs are getting to the smart beautifully, huh? Keep that jab in his face. On that feint, move your head and jabs. Move your head and jabs, right? And leave that right as a counter. As soon as he comes in, you let him have that right, okay?
Very good.
Smart.
Chuck Talahami
Keep
Lee
thinking,
is
Les.
talking to him, who once trained Michael Dokes.
Boxing beautiful, huh? Keep that smartness. Keep thinking. Keep thinking. Don't get over anxious. Keep thinking. It's getting slower and slower by each round.
Leslie Stewart off the ropes. There's the jab, what we've talked about, an important weapon for him. And Czyz, though most of his damage done with left hooks, this one was an overhand right that got in for Leslie Stewart.
Round number 4, another one of those tough fights to score. And it
man.
depends on how you look at it, really.
Very, very close rounds. Don't absolutely go to the bank on this. I mean, those were 3 very close rounds. I had 1 even 2 for Czyz, but I give the last one to Czyz. But, you know, good counterpunching by Leslie Stewart. So I was just trying to factor in the body work by Czyz and those big bombs he landed, and I came up with Czyz the winner.
That was a big right hand, and that definitely shook Leslie Stewart.
And now what Czyz is doing is mixing that body and head attack very effectively. After he hurt him with that right, he came with the right to the body.
And that other right hand, not quite as effective as the first.
Well, Czyz saw the Lalonde fight, and he knows the right hand can get in. He's not a predominantly right-handed puncher. He's got a great left hook, but he's got a right hand, and he's showing Leslie Stewart a little bit of that punch. And Czyz said to me, he said, you know, when Stewart fought Lalonde, he's a one-handed puncher. He was just worried about the right. He said, I'm a two-handed puncher.
Having the best results so far, though, with the right hand. Stewart seems to have his legs back now.
You know, we talked about the Stewart jab, Barry, but equally important is Czyz's jab, and it has been, when he started his run as a light heavyweight, getting those knockouts, winning the title, defending it 3 times, a very key element was that he was jabbing his way in very effectively.
There's a little bit of swelling under the right eye of Leslie Stewart now. Again, it's nothing that's any kind of a problem now, but one of those things that as the fight goes on, could become so. Czyz no worse than he was in the first round.
There's a counter right by Stewart again.
And he took a straight right hand in return.
Here's where Czyz needs to work. He's not working, I don't think, as much on the inside as he would probably like. Jab's not getting there by Stewart. Now that's where Czyz needs to finish off with the left hook.
One thing that Bobby Czyz's people have said about him is that when he does get you hurt, he's a very good finisher. That can't be said for every fighter, but it is a fact about Bobby Czyz.
Czyz is doing a pretty good job in this round, but what would cement this round for him is if when he gets on the inside, he was banging to the body. He was before, and he stopped at Frank Caputine's suggestion.
Good hand dropped in.
Make no mistake, though, this is a Bobby Czyz round.
Yeah, probably the first round in the fight, as a matter of fact, that clearly has belonged to one or the other. In this case, it was Bobby Czyz. We'll be back to Resorts in Atlantic City after this.
I used to put in...
Well, if it was the left hook at the start, it's the right now that's really working for Bobby Czyz. That overhand right getting into the head of Leslie Stewart.
Barry Tompkins with Al Bernstein. Round 5, light heavyweight bout between Bobby Czyz in the black trunks with the gold trim, Leslie Stewart in the white trunks.
There's the first sign of really good combinations from Czyz. There it is again. And I'll tell you, when he became the light heavyweight champion and beat Slobodin Kuchar and then beat David Sears, Willie Edwards, Jim McDonald, what made him special and made him better even than his middleweight days, Barry, was that he was punching in combination. He was doing that early against Prince Charles Williams. It stopped after Williams hurt him and he got tired, and it wasn't there against Andre. It's starting to come back now.
And in Stewart, he has a guy who can hurt him. And fellas like Slobodan Kuchar, he wouldn't be able to knock Czyz out with Mike Tyson's hands.
That's right.
And that's true also of most of the people that he fought after that. But in Leslie Stewart, he's got a guy who can hurt him.
That's exactly true. And so it makes him a little more wary, but it took him a couple rounds to get these combinations going. See there, 4-punch combination. The last one landed, but at least he's throwing in bunches. And that's been Leslie Stewart's problem in his last few fights. He's just been a singular puncher, hoping one will hurt somebody and get him in trouble.
Right hand by Stewart, but Czyz just keeps coming.
That Leslie Stewart right hand, which we used to see knock people out, hasn't in the last few fights. He hit Hill with some good ones. He hit Lund with some huge right hands. Huge right hands. But Lund didn't go anywhere. And now he's hitting Czyz with those same punches and not getting the desired effect. Good hooks by Czyz to the body. Wonderful effort there by Czyz.
And doubling up from the body to the head.
This fight is taking on the tempo of the kinds of fights Czyz had when he won the title and defended it. And the way it was going early against Charles Williams in that title bout.
Well, once again, when you talk to fighters, and they either have come off a couple of losses or come off a layoff, they all say they're in the best shape of their life, and you have a tendency to be a little bit skeptical about it. And I have to admit that I was a little bit when Czyz talked about it, but he's showing exactly what he said, and that is a lot of miles on the road and a lot of rounds in the ring.
I think Stewart, for his part, too, really does look like he's well-conditioned. He's thrown lots of punches.
There's a right hand by Stewart. That might have been his best. It stopped Czyz in his tracks. Czyz was short with all those punches.
And he got a little wild there. That's what Czyz does when he gets in trouble. He gets a little wild. Oh, this is an excellent match. But I don't know that Stewart could have stolen that round with those couple of punches.
And I believe that Stewart has a cut over his right eye. We'll take a real close look at that in his corner. I saw some blood from somewhere that looked like it was coming from the right eye.
Don't force too much. Okay? You're pausing a little bit. No, wait. Yeah, clean that. You're pausing a little bit too much, huh?
What round is this?
Yeah, that's 6 coming up. You're gonna pick it up because otherwise he's gonna win the fight. Look at me. Okay? You have to pick it up a little bit, okay? Keep that jab in his face, keep the jabs, keep feinting, don't pose. You're posing a little bit too much sometimes, huh? I want that movement.
Well, they want Leslie Stewart to pick it up, and yeah, he's going to need to. Here was Czyz doing a good defensive job, and then with those double left hooks, look at him with the combinations. Nice combination work by Czyz. But here's where Leslie Stewart would drop in a real good right hand. There's one right to the jaw of Bobby Czyz, and that's precisely what his battle plan is. Keep him at long range, throw those combos, and land that hard right.
And I'm not sure if Leslie Stewart is cut. They seem to be working on a little bit of a cut alongside his eye, not over it. And if it's there at all, it is insignificant. Let's take a look at your card, Al.
You know, it's ending up being a pretty big margin for Bobby Czyz, even though it's a much more competitive fight than that. I have Czyz winning 3-1, or 4-1 even.
This, of course, the 6th round. Stewart trying to stay busy, but doing minimal damage here.
I'll tell you what's starting to happen, though. Bobby Czyz's technique is not as good as it was 2 rounds ago. And I say that because that's the first sign sometimes of fatigue and when a fighter looks like he's getting tired. And it's not that he's still not throwing, but the punches are a little wider, not quite as short. And Stewart taking advantage of that a little bit now.
It is Czyz with his back to the ropes now, and Stewart peppering him pretty good.
This is vaguely reminiscent of the Williams fight.
Stewart started to pick the pace up at the end of the last round. Showing some good movement, double right hand by Stewart.
No, this is exactly what Leslie Stewart wants to do in this bout. If the last few rounds were prototype Czyz rounds, this is a prototype Stewart round for this particular bout.
Short right hand, but it did no damage at all by Czyz. Combination by Stewart.
Well, this is the part of the fight in recent fights where Bobby Czyz has faded a bit, started to fade, and I have to confess in this particular round, he's not as sharp as he's been in the last few.
No, he's not. His punches, in fact, don't even sound the same. It may just be a temporary. Sometimes fighters do that. They'll take kind of a blow, but I don't get the sense that that's what's happening right at the moment.
See, now there's an example of Frank Cappuccino warning him for low blows, and trust me, Bobby, he'll take a point away.
Yes, he will, or 2 or 3.
Yeah. Take him seriously, tonight especially. A little earlier, if you joined us late, Frank Cappuccino took 3 points away from Jesus Cruz in a fight against John Chandra and ended up being a draw. All the points taken away for low blows.
10 seconds remaining, and this is the 6th round. Not a bad round for Leslie Stewart.
Excellent.
Stewart starting to do exactly the thing that Al Bernstein, you have mentioned, he needs to do. We'll be back.
Will drop a right hand in, and then comes with the left hook afterwards. And for Leslie Stewart, he's starting to punch off the ropes.
So you peek into Leslie Stewart's corner, and now into Bobby Czyz. And the crowd again picks up the chant. This is the 7th round. 10-round fight, remember. There is not a title at stake here, only the promise of one.
Of course, both men having lost their title. Stewart losing it to Virgil Hill. The WBA version of the title, an IBF title that Bobby Czyz had. He lost it to Prince Charles Williams in a big upset.
Stewart was cut early in that fight against Hill in the 2nd round. He was knocked down a couple of times in that fight. Take a look at your card, Al.
Well, I gave the last round to Stewart, obviously, so I've got him inching back. And remember, I've got that 3-point edge, but those first couple of rounds were very close. So this could be a very, very close fight right now. And we do feel that Czyz's pace slowed a little bit in the last round. Well, the jab is there for Leslie Stewart. Now, that's what Chuck Callahan was telling him. He said, oblige him. He's right there for the jab. Land it.
He hasn't been doing that too much in this round so far.
Picking up the pace now in the last 20 seconds, Stewart is. And Czyz isn't jabbing his way in. Remember I said earlier what an important thing that is for him.
Now Stewart using the jab very well. It's just the kind of jab that just pesters you. It doesn't really hurt you. Right hand by Czyz, but it was a lunging right hand.
Bobby Czyz is pushing his punches now. He is not, and when he throws the left hook, he's standing too straight up, not like the real good one when he bends at the waist and rips it to the body and the head. Technique-wise, the last 2 rounds, Bobby Czyz has come unglued a little bit. He's going to need to get that back. And because of that, he's losing power in those punches.
Once again, though, you have to think about the crowd and whether the crowd can influence the judges. And every time Bobby Czyz throws what even appears to be a hard punch, the crowd reacts to it.
Well, if you're counting number of punches in this round, and you're supposed to be if you're judging, pretty hard to figure how Leslie Stewart isn't ahead at this point.
Stewart got the best of that exchange. Says to Bobby Czyz, come on. And that's the second time that we've had a headbutt. Czyz just walked in, and Frank Cappuccino, who has been adamant about low blows, ignored that. There was one in the last round, too.
That kept Stewart mad, and he fought hard off those ropes.
You really don't want to see anything like a headbutt ruin what is an outstanding fight so far.
Superb effort by both men, but let me tell you, the momentum is switching to Leslie Stewart.
Very good, very good. No problem.
You're in the corner of Bobby Czyz.
Do what you're doing. You're doing fine. Breathe deep, Bobby. I'm fine. I know you are. I got no problem. What round is this? What round is this?
Hey, Ron, Goomba. We've been winning the fight.
All right, you just be the boss out there. You
Yeah,
just
be the
don't
boss
stand
over
still. If you're not doing something, you're feigning. All right? But you're not standing still.
Right.
And so move your head to the
Wait, my
side.
eye off. No, wait for top. Quick.
All right, we got time. Which side?
Hey, left. Right there. Okay. Okay.
Bobby?
Well, in a round that otherwise was dominated by Stewart, Czyz had his moments with a good right hand on the inside. And here's where the clash of heads will come as they bang heads. Well, it wasn't too dramatic, really. He kind of glanced off the head of Stewart.
I don't know if you at home heard what I thought I heard in the corner, but I thought I heard Bobby Czyz say, I'm tired. And his trainer said to him, I know you are.
If that's the case, then he's going to have a problem here because Leslie Stewart looks like he's able to pick it up a little bit.
Right hand by Czyz.
Well, Leslie Stewart took some bombs from Czyz in the first 4 or 5 rounds. He is definitely still there and punching.
And incidentally, that swelling that started in the first round under the left eye of Bobby Czyz now reddening a little bit more.
There's Czyz jabbing his way in. Those didn't land, but that is what he needs to do to try and get in there. Czyz has not been in a position to work Stewart's body in the last several rounds. And they're fighting exclusively in the center of the ring. How often have you seen Stewart's back to the ropes in the last couple of rounds? Very seldom. Instead, it's Stewart using the jab and boxing well.
And he's fighting like a fighter who's confident.
Instead, look, it's Czyz against the ropes.
That was a good right hand by Stewart.
Well, Bobby came back with a couple shots there, but a lot of those missing. Now, Stewart is not that accurate with that jab. He's throwing a lot of them, but they haven't been as accurate as he would like.
There's a lot of people here at Resorts who really wouldn't have put much on the fact that this fight would go as far as it has.
No, I really thought somebody would be out of here. Like I said on the open, that it looked like an under-the-limit fight. Czyz has come back here in this 8th round, making it a much closer round. Losing the first part of it rather decisively. He's making Stewart miss. And starting to wing those left hooks.
Stewart hasn't been very sharp this time. And there's a right hand by Czyz. That was a pretty good shot. But Stewart seems okay.
Leslie started out the first 40 seconds with the jab pumping, the right hands going, but Czyz has come back.
this round, neither man really as sharp as he has been at other times.
Definitely not. And it's just a question of which one you think did the best work.
There's a right hand. Down goes Czyz. Perfect shot by Leslie Stewart. Czyz is okay. I think it surprised him as much as anything else, but it was a big right hand.
That decided that round, didn't it?
Certainly did. Good, clean, perfect shot by Leslie Stewart.
Give me a little water.
And Czyz turned to his corner right as he got to his feet and said, I'm all right. I don't think there's any question that he was, but he took a very good shot.
You got to come up with your hands up there, boy. You hear me?
You can see that swelling now, and they work on that immediately.
That's what I run. All you got to do is box. All you got to do is stick it. Take it to him with your jab. All right? Don't let him come to you like that.
Well, the Leslie Stewart right hand we've talked about, its power and or lack thereof. Well, this time it got the job done. Right on the jaw of Bobby Czyz. We'll get an even better look at it from yet another angle. And this counterpunching by Stewart, that's his stock in trade against these guys that come in after him. Czyz leaving his right hand very low, and a good short right hand by Leslie Stewart puts him down. A different Bobby Czyz on the inside there than we saw in the third or fourth round.
Well, the knockout's significant, probably more for the fact that it gave the round ostensibly to Leslie Stewart than anything else.
In a close round, and you know, it might have ended up being a 2-point round, because if you even had Stewart just a smidge ahead to that point, you almost have to give him a 2-point round.
So 1 punch and possibly 2 points.
And of course, a big break for Czyz that came right toward the end of the round. He was able to collect himself a little bit in between rounds. Stewart, you know, he's just looking for that right hand again. I'll tell you, the way Czyz is backing up when he gets hit with that jab, he may give Stewart the right again. Stewart's very cautious here, though. Now it's a different fight. I have got Stewart climbing back into a draw, and remember, as I told you, those first couple of rounds, very, very close. So it would not be out of the question for either of these men to be ahead at this point.
And you did make the 8th round a 2-point round.
I did, yes.
This is round number 9, and this one you have an idea, once again, barring the unforeseen, is going to be in the hands of the judges. And you and I have seen some unusual things in the last few weeks.
Yes, boy, that's true. And here's Stewart now doing what he's not capable of doing if he gets in this position, moving, boxing, feeling and with those jabs, trust me, he'll take this round, or should. And he's mixing in enough of the right hand, and Czyz, a little fatigued, not as sharp with his punches, just not landing.
Stewart just fighting like a very confident fighter. Slipped the right hand in again and again.
Keeping the jab.
Another combination, 3-punch combination.
And the jab, the key to all this for Leslie Stewart.
Uppercut and a left hand behind that. Czyz battles back with a right hand.
Bobby is wide open when he comes in like that, but he almost is forced to do that because otherwise he'll just be target practice for Stewart. Big hook by Stewart. That was an excellent left hook.
Stewart definitely the sharper of the two. Right behind it by Stewart again, and another combination with a right hand.
Stewart is trading with Czyz. It might have been dangerous early. Right now, it's working for him, and he stuns Bobby Czyz with a right hand.
And a right hand by Czyz. But Stewart says, I'm okay, come on.
Wow, wonderful round 9. Oh, my.
Czyz scores with another right hand. That might have hurt Stewart. Inside of 10 seconds remaining.
Frank Capuchin confused. They banged the hammer. He thought it was the bell.
And the end of round 9, and what a 3 minutes of boxing that was. Crowd on his feet, and you have an idea they're cheering just the fact that that was a great round.
Yes, it was outstanding, and they may feel that Czyz made a comeback toward the end, but that man, Leslie Stewart, controlled it. Remember these way back at the beginning? Well, Leslie Stewart has certainly used a strong jab. The right hand sent Bobby Czyz down. Now, early in the fight, Czyz was doing those two things. He worked the body, and he cut the ring off. In the last 3 rounds, he has not done those things.
So 3 minutes of boxing left, and you have an idea. It could all come down to this. Take a look at this.
Stewart working from the outside, landing the jab, the straight right hand against Bobby Czyz. That's what he did early in the round. It was very effective for him, really, for most of the round. It's really two fights, Barry. The beginning fight controlled by and large by Czyz. The last half controlled basically by Leslie Stewart. Which half has either fighter won more of?
And when, in the minds of the judges, did one half end and the other one start?
Precisely.
10th and final round. Here's your card out.
I have Stewart ahead by 1. I gave him the last round. I don't know how you could not.
Big right hand by Stewart.
And you know what Leslie Stewart's doing now? He's setting down on those punches. When he throws those right hands, they with a lot of leverage. Oh my, what a good effort by both these men.
Really is.
And in a way, you feel to yourself, somebody's going to lose here tonight, and it might really send them into a position where, as you said, they might end up being kind of a journeyman. And in a way, it's a shame.
And I'm sure Bobby Czyz will go home and say to himself, why didn't I fight like this against Prince Charles Williams? Why didn't I fight like this against Dennis Andres? And Stewart, conversely, is saying, why didn't I fight like this against Virgil Hill or Donnie Lalonde?
Well, it's proof that they did get themselves in pretty good shape, although, truthfully, Bobby Czyz has faded a lot in the end of this fight. He is a lot more tired than he probably should be, and a lot more tired than Stewart, I think.
Well, Stewart looks like he still has a little bit left.
Not to say that Bobby isn't landing some shots. He is. It's just he's not landing as many as Stewart. He's pushing Stewart back, though, and that's what he needs to do. Trying to work the body and the head. Those shots do not have the authority that Czyz had with them earlier. It's because his technique isn't there. But Stewart now starting to punch with his arms and not his body. It's been a very tough pace over 10.
Minute and 15 seconds left in the fight. And it still could be decided in the last minute.
This 10th round is a close one.
Right hand by Stewart, right hand by Czyz.
I'll tell you, the next 60 seconds probably will decide the winner of this fight. I'm of the mind now.
The crowd, of course, very much into it on Bobby Czyz's behalf.
And what can they do for Bobby now? Will that pump him up? He's pushing forward. Stewart trying to use his speed. Czyz working the body and the head and winging those left hooks.
Got a left hook home, but so did Stewart.
Not easy to judge this one.
Good right hand by Czyz. Didn't hurt Stewart. He feigns being hurt.
Bobby Czyz has made a superb comeback in this 10th round. I don't know if he's won it, but he's made it much more interesting than the last 3 or 4 rounds.
I fully expect a split decision here. Right hand by Czyz again.
And maybe he's answering my question about whether he won the 10th round.
Terrific fight.
Wow.
Great fight here in Atlantic City. Both men being given the customary huzzas by their corner, thinking they have won the fight.
Well, some things were proven tonight. Leslie Stewart proved that he is not shot, that he can take a good punch from a hard-hitting light heavyweight. And Bobby Czyz, as you look at him, proved that he's still got lots of the skills that made him a champion. You know what he didn't prove, though? He didn't prove that he can fight consistently over 10 rounds and not get a little tired. Though he did come back, in my opinion, and win that 10th round.
He had a tough guy tonight, Leslie Stewart. Tougher, actually, I think, than the last 2 guys who beat him.
Yes, I think you're right, although Charles Williams, I think, is a wonderful fighter. But this was Leslie Stewart at his best in this fight. Now, here we'll see Czyz in the 10th round coming back a bit. He lands that straight left hand, and here's where they went toe-to-toe toward the end. And it was Stewart with the counter right hand and Czyz pushing him against the ropes. Not much landed of note there, but it was indicative of Czyz really taking the fight to Stewart.
A lot of pushing and shoving, but also a lot of action. Let's get the official decision now. Here is Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I give the official scoring, let's have a hand for these 2 former world champions that fought like champions tonight. Here is the official scoring, and we have a split decision. Lynn Carter scores the bout 95-94 for Leslie Stewart. Milo Savage has it 96-95 for Bobby Czyz. And Joseph Pasquale scores it 96-93 for the winner by split decision, Bobby Chappie Czyz.
96-93 is the deciding judge, and honestly, I don't believe it was that lopsided.
Well, I don't either. I think that was a little excessive, especially with the 2-point knockdown. I ended up having it a draw, but a very, very close fight to be sure.
Excellent fight. So Bobby Czyz, a split decision winner over a game Leslie Stewart, who many feel, including one judge, won the fight. Back to talk with the winner after this.